Welcome to another Armed Anglican video, and thanks for your interest. At Armed Anglican, we always try to give you brief and concise videos that present factual information based on actual experience and data. And when we express an opinion, we'll always try to be clear about that. In this video, we'll be talking about the Taurus PT-22 and specifically about a serious failure to feed problem that we had in a brand new firearm that was kind of driving us crazy. Here's the PT-22. It's a really interesting handgun that is made in the USA by Taurus, and it's actually derived from an old Beretta design, the Beretta Model 21 Bobcat from the 1960s. This gun's chambered in .22 long rifle, and it's got an 8-round magazine. Plus you can put one in the chamber, and that's a unique feature of this little pea shooter. The barrel flips up like this. And you put a round in the barrel throat, and since it's a double-action handgun, it's ready to fire. We're not going to do a full review of this little gun in this video. There are several good ones on YouTube already. Just take a look at those if you want to get familiar with it. I'll mention one distinct drawback, however. It's nearly impossible to rack the slide on this gun. When we first got it, I could do it with a lot of difficulty. But after cleaning it a couple times, there's no way to get enough of a grip on the slide now that it's nice and smooth. Now, if there are no failures, that's okay, because theoretically you never have to rack the slide with this gun. You just load up the magazine, pop it in, you drop a 9th round in the barrel throat, you snap it shut, and you work the trigger 9 times. While we were doing the testing, I had to wear a rubber glove on my left hand to work the slide. In the future, we'll probably add some grip tape to the slide so that we don't have to do that. Anyway, on to the problem at hand. We took delivery of this gun, we took it home, we cleaned it, and then we went back to the range the next morning to give it a try. And we had a box of 100 Winchester Super X's, and we had a 50-round box of Ely Target rounds. Our first outing was a dismal failure, and we didn't keep track of that day at the range of all the failures, but they were significant. The Ely ammo seemed to run a little bit better than the Winchester, but we estimated about 35 failures to load in about 100 rounds that we fired that day before giving up. We were ready to blame the ammo, but we thought the better of it and decided to make a project out of figuring out just what was going on. Our first action was to see if the ammo that we'd been using was really to blame. We were able to buy some Aguila standard and high velocity ammo and some CCI mini mags to test against the Ely and the Winchester rounds that we had left. And on that first day of testing, we fired a total of 93 rounds. And here's a tabulation of the results from the first day. We kept track of every shot. We ended up with 10 failures to feed out of the 93 rounds fired, and that's almost 11%. Pretty bad performance. We didn't see any difference between the various kinds of ammo we used, and so we were pretty sure that this wasn't an ammo problem. So we went home and scratched our heads. The next logical step would be to see if the magazine was at fault, and so we ordered another magazine over eBay. When that was delivered, we headed back to the range to try it again. The results of the second day's testing were worse than the first. We fired 93 total rounds using both the Aguila standard and high velocity ammo, and randomly using the 2 different magazines. The new magazine performed worse than the original one that came with the gun, and the total result was a failure rate of 19%. So back home we went to do some more figuring. We knew that on an inexpensive gun like this, it might be wise to do some polishing of some of the internal parts, and because we thought that that might be the problem. So we first polish the feed ramp, and we think the safest way to do this is by hand, not with power tools. We just used a bit of Flitz polish and buffed it for a long time with a rag wrapped around a small diameter wooden dowel rod. And then we did the same thing to the wearing surfaces inside the slide. And then we headed back to the range for more testing. The day 3 test results were a little bit better after the polishing, but not yet to any acceptable level of reliability. We fired 79 total rounds using both magazines, and we included the Aguila ammo plus the leftover Winchester ammo in this testing. We had 6 failures in the 79 rounds, or about 8% failure rate. And we were pretty frustrated by this point. We headed back home and called Taurus. And they said that we should send the gun in for warranty repairs, but they were pretty backed up, and we could expect that we wouldn't see the gun for at least 6 weeks. They also said the problem could be bad magazines, and they offered to send us another one. So we decided to wait for the new magazine before parting with the little pea shooter for 6 weeks. In the meantime, we did some more examination of the gun. With the slide removed and the loaded magazine in place, it became apparent what the problem might really be. The way this gun is designed, it's obvious that the placement of the top of the magazine is critical. This is a blowback design. There's no extractor for the spent round, and it has to blow past the next round as the slide is blown back from the recoil, and it has to be ejected before the next round starts to be pushed forward by the returning slide. And it's a small gun, and there's just no slack in there. As a matter of fact, we could see that the feed ramp doesn't really do much on this design. The new round is pretty much pushed directly into the barrel throat. So it looked like it was imperative to have the alignment exactly right. And while we were fooling around, we noticed that the magazine actually had play in it. And this isn't uncommon in other pistols. Both of our Ruger LCPs have play in the magazine. You can jiggle them around a little bit, but those two firearms run flawlessly. So we got to thinking that it was possible that in this gun that wasn't the case. And so we had to come up with a way to really firm up the magazine so that it was gripped solidly and wasn't able to move up and down. We found about a millimeter of play up and down. So we came up with a temporary fix that would allow us to test our latest hypothesis. In order to do this, we carefully cut out Velcro spacers and we applied them to the bottom of the grip, so it would be between the bottom of the grip and the butt of the magazine. And then when we popped in the magazine, there was absolutely no play. So off to the range we went again. And here are the results, and they show that our perseverance paid off. We fired 95 rounds, and we had 100% flawless performance. And we went home happy and started figuring out how to make a more permanent fix. And just to be certain, we did one more round of testing. We went back and fired 100 more rounds with absolutely no failures. In that last day, we tried one-handed shooting and limp-wristed shooting, rapid fire, and tried, to be sloppy on the trigger, which is a pretty long pull, by the way. But we couldn't force a failure of any kind. And so the end of this story is happy, and we hope this adventure is helpful to someone else along the way. Let us know. That's it for now. Until next time, be safe and go with God. This is the Armed Anglican signing off.